Hello everyone. In this video, I'll show how to create ASP.NET web application in Visual Studio 2022 and later commit all those files which are created for that web application into Azure DevOps pipeline. So let's check this step-by-step implementation in lab now. I have opened Visual Studio 2022 and it's showing me Get Started page where you can clone a repository, open a project, open local folder where your project is saved or create a new project. And in this video, I'll create a new project. Let's create a new project. And because we want to create an ASP.NET web application, so let's choose this one. Next. Let's give it as web application sample. And next. For .NET 8.0 long-term support. So I'll remove this checkbox because I want to just implement it for HTTP. Create. And it's creating the web application now. It's so simple in Visual Studio 2022. So this is the web application overview page. Let's first change the font size of the Solution Explorer as well as the text. So let's go to Tools, Options. In the environments, go to Fonts and Colors, then select Text Editor. Choose 13. Okay. Now the text size will change. Now along with that, let's change the size for the Solution Explorer. Tools, Options, and this time environment. And change it to 12. Okay. Now this should be clearly visible on your screen. So this is the solution. If in case it's closed, you can go to View, Solution Explorer. And I would like to make some changes in the application which is deployed. So let's change the web page, index.cshtml. I want to change it to sample web application. That's all. I'll just save it. And now I'll run this so that I can see how it will look like on the web page. Now locally it's creating a web server, then it will open a browser on the random port which is used in the web server. A prompt has opened which shows that the web page on localhost 5161 can be opened, and parallelly a web page is opened here which shows sample web application. So that means now our web application is ready. I'll close this. And now all these files which are created under this solution, we want to commit all these files to the Git repository. But instead of the GitHub, we are using Azure DevOps repository. So let's go to solution, right click on it, create Git repository. So now there are multiple options. If you don't have a repository already created, then you can create the repository from here itself. In the case of GitHub, you have to sign up for the GitHub. And in the case of the Azure DevOps, you can sign it here using the credentials, and then automatically everything will show and you can create a repository from here. But instead of that, I want to make changes to an existing repository. And for that, let's first go to Azure DevOps. Go in the repos, create a new repo. Let's name it as web app and create. A repository is created now. So that means we don't want to create a new repository using Visual Studio. We just want to commit files to this repository. Now let's go back to Visual Studio. Let's first sign in. This will ask for the username and password for our Azure DevOps. I'm now signed into my Azure DevOps. So let's go to existing remote and go back to our repository. You can go to the clone and copy the HTTPS URL of the repository. Let's copy this, go back to Visual Studio, provide the remote URL, create and push. Now as you can see, push to the remote repository has started. And soon it will show that it will be pushing to the master branch of the repository. And because Azure DevOps use the main branch instead of the master, we'll create a pull request and copy the code into the main branch. The push is successful. As you can see, all the project files are added. Let's go back to our repository, close this, and there is a master branch. And all the files are here. Now create a pull request to merge into the main branch. Copy files to main and just create and complete. And this will complete the merge. Now let's go back to our files. In the main branch, you can see all the files are present. We'll go to the pages. There is index.cs.html, which you can see the sample web app. And this is how from the Visual Studio, you can commit the files into your Azure DevOps repository. To summarize this video, we have first created a project in Visual Studio 2022, and that project is for ASP.NET application, specific web application. So once that web application is created, it's a sample web application. We made slight changes into its index file. And after that, from Visual Studio, we logged it into our Azure DevOps and then went to the Solution Explorer, right click on it, and then create Git repository. And there's an option of committing to the existing repository. We copied the URL from our Azure DevOps and then the commit happened. However, we didn't choose the name of the branch, so it directly went into the master branch. And from there, we created a pull request and copied all the files to our main branch. And that's all for this video. I hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much.